Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. I know there's so much going on, so much going on, to include everything with the weather and evacuations and things of that nature. So definitely want everyone to know, from Texas to everywhere else, that Irma may quite possibly impact, that you guys are in my thoughts and prayers. But at that same time, I'm going to take a little divvy from the direction of which we're going to talk to you guys about some information dealing with the weather and inclement weather and sometimes emergencies that may pop up, and hopefully some tips that will help you guys if you're ever in this situation, because it is always best to be prepared up front, of course, but sometimes we don't always have that luxury. But given that now, we kind of know and we have an idea of how strong some of these storms can be, hopefully we can all work together to become as prepared as possible. I want to let you guys know too, I do have a little bit of a cold, so if I sneeze, I apologize. I'm so sorry. If it happens, let's hope that it doesn't and that we can get through this without my voice going out. So we'll go right ahead and get started. All right. First of all, I want you guys to know that there's many things that are out there. A lot of times things are hidden within the underwriting of your home if you own a home, or in your renter's insurance if you have renter's insurance as well. There's things that are in the underwriting of that can also help you if you're ever in a situation. It's something that you most definitely need to have a talk with your insurance company about ahead of time. Again, in being proactive, talk to them ahead of time about things that they may cover in the event that you ever find yourself in that situation where you're going to have to evacuate, or there's some type of, emergency, such as, hurricanes, tornadoes, all things like that can happen that are outside of our control, but may cause us to have to evacuate. Like I said, within that underwriting, a lot of times it can be things like they will pay for gas for you to do so. They'll pay for lodging for a certain number of weeks for you to be able to do that. There's many things that's in the underwriting sometimes. Also, in the event that, say, your power goes out for a certain amount of time after a hurricane, depending on who your insurance is with, they will turn around and reimburse you the money for your lost food. Again, that does depend on who your insurance is with, but I do suggest that you all, with your homeowners or renters insurance, that you check with them and figure out what's in the underwriting to find out what exactly that they do cover, because that can become costly when you're trying to, replenish your home of food, things of that nature. And that's there. And I know with my insurance in particular, I don't have to pay anything in order for them to pay me the money to replace my food up to $500. I don't have to, pay anything to have that, any deductible of any sort to have that replaced back to me. It's just the fact that my power would have been out for a certain amount of time. Again, excuse me for that with my voice. I'm very sorry. That's something to definitely think about. Also, for those of us that have special needs, that could be that our children are special needs, or we have loved ones within our family with special needs, or those of us with MS, we may have, special needs as well. You definitely want to a great place that I recommend for people is to go to the American Red Cross, to their website, and they actually have some really great tools to help you make a plan ahead. Okay. And then they have where to help you go through and make a backup plan. And then they have another section to help you make an evacuation plan. Okay. What an amazing thing to be able to do ahead of time, again, to be proactive. But a lot of times we're not thinking about these things because we're just so busy with everything that's going on in life. But that's okay, because guess what? We know better, so we can do it next time. You know what I mean? We can go ahead and get things in order and have a great plan with everything. And of course, in the meantime, if something has to be adjusted, you would be able to do that. They do have a preparedness guide on the on the American Red Cross on their website. And it will help you when you have people with disabilities and other special needs. It's a great thing. You can download it, go through it all. It'll tell you all those things that you need to think about. Also, for people too, outside of that with the Red Cross, it's a great idea to check with the county in which you live in, because the county, when it comes to, if you per se have to go to a shelter, your county may possibly have a region or an area that they're going to set up shelter for people with disabilities, with illnesses that require them to have electricity, such as say MS, because, of the heat, or someone that has a heart problem, or, there's all kinds of illnesses that, this stuff plays into. But it is a great idea to check with your county, no matter where you live, okay, and find out, do they have this? And also to try to get yourself registered, okay? And usually whenever you do that, that registration is good for 1 year. So every year you would have to make sure to, again, put this inside your journal of the date that you sent in your paperwork and you registered. And then you will also then know that a year from that date, mark it on your calendar, that you will need to make sure, actually about a month before that next year of that date, about 11 months in, you want to make sure to go register again, just so that you're always good to go. Because when these things happen, boy, I tell you, it sends you in a tailspin. And a lot of times it's hard to really think, but the more proactive that we can be, that's just the better off that it is, for us, because there are many things that are needed. For some people, some medications have to be refrigerated, things of that nature, which would mean that they would need to be in some type of shelter for people, with special needs, where that power is on, that power is there, that medicine can be refrigerated, things of that nature. Okay. So just definitely some tips there. And again, it's very important that you check with your county. Okay. And if your county offers it, that you get registered with them, so that also, too, in the event that you do have to evacuate, they do provide assistance in helping you evacuate. Let's say if it's that you are wheelchair bound, or you have gait, which is walking, issues, things of that nature, and you could, still be able to, live on your own, and you have an aide that comes by, or whatever the case may be, they could then send resources to help you to be able to get out of your home ahead of time. Okay. Just something for you guys to, keep in mind, and, in your thoughts. And, I really, wish I would have talked about this last week, but I hadn't really wouldn't have thought about this whole superstorm coming in like that, and just really got everything kind of crazy. The other thing too, for people that have chronic illnesses, I remember being a child, and people would say, oh, my knees are hurting so bad, oh, Arthur's kicking in, it's gonna rain. As a kid, I'm thinking, who's Arthur and why is he kicking you? Because I didn't know what they were talking about. But let me tell you, as an adult who lives with several chronic illnesses, I know exactly what they are talking about, okay? Because it's not that I do have some arthritis issues, but living with MS and some of the other rheumatological issues that I have, I the pain is unreal when there's changes to the barometric pressure. It's very hard on you. It is so hard. I completely get it. I want you guys to know that yes, weather changes, even whenever it can start to rain, or there's thunder, there's lightning, that reminded me of back when I was a kid and I was a cheerleader. We had this cheer that went thunder and lightning, gonna take 2 steps on back. Oh yeah. Wow, really? Anyway, but don't ask me what I ate for breakfast. Squirrel, we just went off path. Let me get back on. Um, But I do want y'all to know that there is pressure changes. When there is pressure changes like that, with barometric pressures and having chronic illnesses, it can definitely increase your pain level. And I do want to make sure that, it's not all in your head. Your pain is real. And yes, that is part of it. That is very much part of it. And it's very unfortunate because we do tend to hurt worse, and that's to include when seasons change and things like that, or even as much as a 10 to 20 degree temperature change for us can also send things into overdrive as well. So please keep that into account as well, in case you're like in those affected areas and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm hurting, a lot worse and I don't understand what's going on. That could be it. But again, if it's anything that's way outside of your normal, especially chest pains, for a female, any tightening there in the back, in between the shoulder blades, then wrapping on around to the front, and you maybe some weakness there on the left side, my ultimate suggestion to you would be, especially if that's new, to make sure that you get to the nearest emergency room so that you can seek care to make sure that there's not some type of cardiac issue due to elevated stress sometimes, with dealing with things like this. And again, these things, they stress you out so bad. I mean, really bad that, and again, stress and MS, they don't play well together. Like I told y'all a few shows ago, they're kind of not like monkey bars and swings. So when things like this are going on with the weather and, imminent danger from it at that, that of course increases anyone's stress level. Anybody, especially if you have loved ones, family, friends, even yourself, being in the area and trying to figure out what it is that you need to do, or you're spending 7 hours in a vehicle to get 2 hours in distance, trying to evacuate. That's very stressful, and it's a very, very hard thing to do. So definitely I want you guys to know that make sure you're taking care of yourselves, and you're staying hydrated. That's very important as well too. Just keep in mind that you got to take your medicine. Remember to keep your meds with you and close to you at all times. You just always want to make sure that you're able to still take your medication and be safe, and try your best to keep yourself from getting too stressed out. But definitely know that pain from the barometric pressure is real. It is very real. Outside of that, so there's just so many things, like my heart is so full in a lot of ways. It's like I I just feel so bad because I have, so many people in the Florida area that I just love so much. And I mean, all of you guys, anybody that's, tuning in, if you're from there, if you get to listen to this later on, I want you to know that you definitely are in my thoughts and prayers, and that of the world, you definitely are. And, just do your best. And again, we may not know what all services are out there at a certain point, because we're just not thinking like that, and we don't necessarily understand what all this excuse me, what all this disease may entail. But that is part of it, is the fact that you want to check with different disability services, and especially with your county, looking at the American Red Cross, again, because they have things specific to people that have disabilities and or special needs. And also for people who have children that are special needs, it really works the exact same, because some kids that are special needs, and gosh, love them because they're all just so sweet, but loud noises, things to that effect really affect them so bad. So that's something too that you want to look into as well, as getting them registered too. Don't just look at it as, okay, well, it's got to be something like MS. No, think about your babies too, because a lot of the things that children live and deal with when they're special needs, that term is just what it is. They are special needs, and we want to make sure that there's some place that their needs are met too, if you guys are ever in the situation where you have to evacuate or something to that effect. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, the other thing that I'll talk to you guys about is communication. Communication can be rough. I know that it's very hard when you're stressed out, to basically sometimes effectively communicate. One thing I want for people to understand with people that have MS, the longer that it goes, sometimes it's difficult for us to be able to then read people's facial expressions. We don't understand them, as well as you can be talking to me, and as my friend Sharonda Jackson always says, and it cracks me up whenever she types it, she'll say blank stare, in asterisks. And I always crack up whenever she says it, because literally there's times that I'll just have a blank stare. Like, the lights are on, but no one's home, I certainly don't mean that. I really don't. It's like I'm trying to, process sometimes what you've said. And so my facial expression is just blank. Now, in some ways, for me, that's a good thing, because I call that my face got some deliverance, okay? Because back in the day, sometimes someone would say something to me, and I kind of have my eyebrows wrinkled up, my nose kind of wrinkled up a little bit, like, what, trying to figure it out, and that, most people would laugh because they know I'm just a big old goofball if you're just normally talking to me. But that's very common with MS, and that can cause miscommunication with family, with friends, with loved ones, to where they may not quite understand that piece of it, that is an element to things that happens along with this disease, is that it becomes difficult to read for us, and also for us to give you the proper facial expression that you may seek, okay? It does not mean that we don't love you. It does not mean that we're mad at you. It does not mean that we don't want to talk to you. It doesn't mean that we're giving you the stinky face. Now, wait a minute. My grandson just started walking really good this week. I have the most adorable video, okay? He's kind of going, that little side step. And then all of a sudden, when he goes to turn himself straight, he makes the stinky face. Okay. And it's so cute because he makes that face, when he's concentrating, is so adorable. But he's 12 months old. He's a year old. So he has an excuse to make a stinky face. All right. But we don't necessarily, as adults, have a good valid reason, unless it's just in playing around or whatever, to do that. So that's why I say that, my face has had some deliverance, because I'm a person that I'm very, I like to think, okay, I'm very nice. I have a great sense of humor. I laugh a lot, all that. But, at that same time, if I'm not quite comprehending what's being said, I can have RBF. And for anybody that doesn't know what RBF is, maybe Google it, maybe, ask somebody, hey, what's RBF? And they'll be able to tell you what it is. Because sometimes I have that. And I most certainly, don't mean it. Or if I'm just not smiling in general, everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? You're not smiling. What's the matter? And I'm like, nothing, and they're like, you're not yourself. And I'm like, oh no, it's just that at that point, my mind was blank, to where maybe I might see somebody that, I haven't seen them in, I don't know, a day or whatever. And I'm smiling. And it could be that when I see them like that next day, they think that I've saw them already, but I haven't, and it takes a minute for them when they say something to me, then it's like, oh, hey, what's up, but they're already like, hey, what's going on? What's up with you? It's not anything. It's just with us, we have tricky eye days. Some days it takes this set of glasses, another days it takes another set of glasses, another days it takes another set of glasses, because our vision can just be so off. And it is not that it's necessarily the eye, it's more the brain. It's that's, got that issue, So it's kind of like, good day, bad day, midday, in between, and sometimes no glasses at all. Okay, none at all. So that's very important, for people to know. And, we may too say something, and, people that are sick, and the isolation that can come about and all of that, I can tell you now, we're always so afraid that, we're going to lose somebody, we're going to lose more people than what we already have, or that people aren't going to know that we're still the same person that we are, but we're just living with MS, because, I mean, literally, like, there sometimes it's the funny thing that I have people say to me a lot is, wow, looking at you, I can't tell that you're that sick. And it's like, oh, thanks, I really do, I appreciate it, because if I look like what I've been through, okay, ooh wee, I'm talking like Godzilla meets, I don't know, I would look awful, okay, if I really look like what I've been through. So I get it, but know that there's always that fear for people that are sick, is that, they're going to lose, more people, or that feeling of being misunderstood, also, back to these, this weather and everything that's going on, there's even a fear for some people to reach out and ask, their family members for help, they're just afraid, because it's like, I just don't want to, bother anybody, or and I tell you, I feel like we're getting signs, okay? I feel like signs are being given to us that we need to get right before we need to get left. That is exactly what I feel, because it's just amazing to me that, we all witnessed that eclipse, and it's like ever since then, every storm pretty much that has happened has just been off the chain. It's like, wow, there's so many signs, and I'm definitely not going to preach to y'all here. But there's just so many signs. And I think back to, growing up in a small town, and, yeah, people say, oh, when you're in a small town, everybody knows everybody's business. You know what? I absolutely loved the small town that I grew up in. Go Bulldogs, because you know what? We had school pride. We had love for each other. We loved each other so much. We rooted for each other in no matter what sport. Our parents were down for us in our schools, and, what we were doing, and supporting us in everything that we did. Not saying that parents aren't now. That's not what I'm saying. But, we just had that traditional pride that just carried on and carried on and carried on. And, not to mention, like, if somebody was cutting up at school, and, I'm going to call your mama. Oh, no, no, please don't do that. No, I won't do that again, because, that's just how it was. And it was a great thing. Honestly, it was a great thing. And that small town living, I'm going to tell you something. Portersville, Missouri, shout out, man. There's just nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it at all. Just a great thing. I remember when there was floods and things like that when I was growing up, my daddy getting out in his boat, and going and helping people get out of their homes and stuff like that. And, we just grew up, knowing to, help other people. And, my mom, cooking stuff and taking over to people when, they had a loved one in their family pass away or something to that effect. And I'm here to tell you, it would be great if we went back to those days. It would be absolutely great. But we are so busy nowadays with just, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but sometimes just that moment, that moment we don't take, and don't get me wrong. I love Facebook. I love being able to share jokes and laugh and all that. But there's many of my friends, Jackie Kellums Graham. She's like a sister to me, actually. Shelly Walls Cunningham. Geez, there's lots of people, actually. But those two, pop in my mind just readily, right away, that, if I just want to, laugh and kick back for a minute and, relax, hey, man, I'll give them a call, give them a call and just talk and chit chat and say what's up. Also, like I say too, we got those big hearts out there, and I just wish that there would be a whole lot more if we all could just come together and all kind of do that. Because, again, I want to give a shout out to Tommy Barisi and his beautiful, 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 beautiful wife, Zio. Okay, beautiful people. When I was at my lowest and, ill and couldn't keep stuff down, couldn't do anything, was like, okay, what's next? Is this a stomach issue? What's going on? Tommy was one of the first people to step up and say, hey, look, this is what I want you to do, and this is what you need to do, and mind you, this guy way out west, and I was way out east at that point. It was without hesitation. I can literally, text him, text Zio, anything. And Tommy, I want you to know that it's okay. It is okay that you cried watching MJ, because I did too. Okay. Now, it's been great, you guys. And again, please keep everything in mind, what I told you guys about the Red Cross and all that great information. And again, everybody is in my thoughts and prayers, that is in the path of Irma and anything that may be following in behind her. You guys take care, and I hope to see you guys next week. Take care.